3.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Idiomatic Top 3.
I'm Nicholas, I'm the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and Movie Critique. Today, Nick and I are going to list our respective top 3 pleasant surprises. This is sort of a follow-up to our previous episode in which we discussed our top 3 disappointments, and that ended with me ranting about the Bourne Supremacy for the last 10 minutes or so. Sorry about that.
And that's a good time to switch, because after we walked out of Supremacy, you talked to me about Identity, and you said it's such a better movie, and I really didn't believe you. It's like,
really didn't believe me.
it's like, yeah, whatever. Good movie could have spawned this piece of crap. So you eventually convinced me to watch Identity, and wow, that movie is genius. And this is like my first pleasant surprise, Bourne Identity. After seeing Supremacy, you see Identity, and it's like, wow, this is a genius movie. And certain scenes are just so awesome the way they filmed them. Like when there's a sniper in the field and he goes to meet him with a shotgun. I think that's one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen. And just the way you see them from the back, and it's like, wow, this is great movie making. This is a great movie. So yeah, I guess seeing Supremacy made me appreciate Identity even more. But that was like really a pleasant surprise because I was not expecting anything after having seen Supremacy.
No, that's a great pick. I obviously didn't feel that way because I saw Identity first, but.
Yeah.
But like you pointed out, that action scene is just so brilliant. It just goes back to how the camera works and why Bourne Identity is such a brilliantly directed movie. Because what it is, essentially, it's a very quiet action scene. Because all you have is a sniper. It's not like a sniper who suddenly shoots like he has a machine gun. He shoots one bullet at a time, and he aims, you know?
Yeah.
And it all goes back to that notion of distance I was talking about in Supremacy, because it's all like Matt Damon is, or Bourne I should say,
Yeah.
is standing far, far away from the enemy who's a sniper. The only way he's going to take down the enemy who's a sniper if he manages to get close to him. So it's all about him trying to circle a sniper and narrow him down to get closer and closer.
Yeah.
And that's so cool.
Yeah, and you know before, you know he's a sniper, and he says to the people he's trying to protect, take cover, I'll handle it. And you know he has no clue how he's going to handle it, but you just want to see it happen, and it's a great scene.
Yeah. No, and even the early scenes, I love just how fast he reacts without realizing it. At some point he escapes, I think it's a Swiss embassy.
Yeah.
And, he causes some commotions and he walks around. Now, obviously, he's never been there before. So the first thing he does on his way without really stopping to think about it is he just tears off the floor map of the emergency exits on his way out so he can check it out while he's walking. You're like, that's just such the logical thing to do. But he just does it so fast and so of course I did this, you idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So what was your first pleasant surprise?
I'm going to go with a different vein. I'm going to go with Broken, which is a British horror movie.
Okay.
Fans of the Dreamer's Edge podcast and dreamersedge.com know that I love my horror.
Indeed.
I saw it on TV just not really knowing what to expect. I knew Lena Headey was in it, and I liked her from Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. She plays Sarah Connor in there. And I just watched it, and even the TV didn't really give a really accurate description of it. They weren't like, a woman finds herself in the middle of evil forces. So, like that doesn't really tell you anything.
Yeah.
And the movie has weird shots of mirrors throughout the entire thing, and it's just really eerie. And then something happens at the quarter mark that's just so messed up and so weird and so what the hell? Now, if you don't want to know and want to have the same experience I did, stop listening for the next 3 minutes. If you don't mind, because it is actually part of the synopsis on the back cover, then you can listen. It's not technically a spoiler, Yeah. But it turns out that they're attacked by their own reflections in the mirror.
Damn.
Yeah. So the first time that happens, it's so messed up because you start noticing without really sort of acknowledging it that the reflections are a bit off. They sort of imitate the behavior just a fraction of a second too late.
Oh,
or
wow.
A few details are off, it will be the wrong arm, if she raises her right arm, her reflection will also raise its right arm instead of its left arm, but nobody acknowledges it. So you're just sort of capturing it on the corner of your mind, not really. And then when the first one just steps out of the mirror, you're like, what the freak just happened there? It is awesome. The movie is actually really good, and there's an additional mystery link to that afterwards. It's very gripping, but just that moment made that movie such an enjoyment to me because I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea what this movie was. It was just sort of eerie and building up nicely, and when this happened, I was like, this is the most messed up thing that could have happened right now.
It's cool.
Yeah. I think it's worth your time, because I know you don't like slashers, and this one is not a slasher.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out then.
Yeah, Broken with Lena Headey. I recommend it to everyone. It's a really cool movie. But let's talk about your next pick for Pleasant Surprise.
Well, before I tell that pick, I have to explain the situation where I was in Arizona with my friends who had the worst taste in movies ever. I mean, and not just bad taste in movies, but rewatching bad movies over and over again. Like Meet the Fockers, Ace Ventura, the second one.
Oh, because the first one wasn't bad enough.
Yeah. I mean, they were laughing their asses off during Ace Ventura, and I was looking at this one, like, this is painful. And they looked at me and was like, there's a problem, he's not laughing. I was like, yeah, I'm not laughing because it's not funny. And Boondock Saints, we watched 3 times. It's like, the thing I hate more than Tarantino movies is Tarantino wannabe movies, really. So when they said we need to watch this movie because it's awesome, I was like, yeah, whatever, it's awesome. I don't buy it, but we're hanging out, so sure, just pop it in. And they put Equilibrium in, and wow, that movie is awesome. It is really a good movie, and many people are going to complain. Okay, it has ridiculous things that can't work, like Gun Kata, which is basically martial arts with guns. Of course it can't work. The point is it's awesome, and that's why you watch it. The action is awesome. It's something I had never seen before, which is really something I like, fresh action, something I've never seen. And the story is actually pretty good. Maybe the acting is a little uneven here and there, but Christian Bale gives a great performance. So it's like, wow, it is till to this day one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, by uneven acting, you mean that there are 3 actors who give decent performances. Christian Bale, Sean Bean.
Yeah, he has a very short role, but he's very good. He sets the tone up. It's a very short role, but he sets the tone pretty well.
And the female lead, Emily Morton, I think.
I don't think she was that good because she's supposed to have emotions and everything, and she's dead cold. You're like, you're supposed to have emotions here.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, she was a bit confusing about her emotions.
Yeah,
Too.
They're trying to suppress emotions, so certain people have emotions, certain don't, but according to the acting, you can never tell. You cannot tell at all. But just the action and the concept, it's great, and I enjoyed that movie immensely.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Although I will say that I think it's a movie that you need to discover. Like, I think now is a good time. Like, you saw the recommendation, you might want to check it out. That's a good way of discovering this movie. Yeah. I think if I had seen the movie in theaters and it was really hyped up by everybody as being like this awesome movie, I might have been a bit disappointed.
That's true.
But coming in with sort of like, have you ever heard of this? Oh, you'll like it. And then you check it out. I think it's a really great way of discovering that movie.
Well, I had such low expectations of it since my friends were suggesting it to me. I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah. I'll say this: it's better than Ace Ventura 2.
Yeah. And on the side note, another Christian Bale movie that my friends suggested I watch that was great, American Psycho. So I guess now, and every time my friends suggest a Christian Bale movie, I have to watch it because it's going to be good.
American Psycho is brilliant.
Yeah. So what is your number 2 pleasant surprise?
My number 2 pleasant surprise is something that I think a lot of people will agree with, actually, and it's Rocky Balboa.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, this is the 6th movie in the Rocky franchise, and hopefully the last.
Was it 15 years after the previous one?
Yeah, something like that.
10 or 15 is like very long time.
Here's the thing with the Rocky series. I actually think it holds up pretty well in general. You know what I mean? Like, without counting Rocky Balboa. Like, the first one, brilliant movie. Yeah. The second one, sort of a rehash, and nothing really new to bring, but still pretty good. Still respects the characters. Then the third one is the one that I like the least.
Me too, actually.
Yeah. And then the fourth one is the worst one, but somehow more enjoyable than the
Yeah.
third one.
The fourth one is bad, but it's awesome.
Exactly. And then the fifth one was sort of a redeeming movie for me. It's like, I like this movie. But it's sort of, by the time the fifth movie was, I was like, well, that's a decent way of ending the Rocky franchise. No more, please.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
so when they announced Rocky Balboa, I was a little bit like, are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah, they're just doing this for cash was my thinking.
Yeah. But I went to see it in theaters anyway, just because I'm sort of curious that way, you know?
Indeed.
You're either going to get this amazingly pleasant surprise, is what we ended up getting, or you're going to watch an amazing train wreck. Like, you can't lose.
Indeed.
But it was amazingly good. It was
Yeah.
so affecting, and I got teary-eyed at several moments, and more importantly, I was like totally rocking to Rocky, like totally rooting for him again.
Yes.
It's also, you know what I noticed also? It's what I don't like about part 2 to 5, rewatching them all back to back, including Rocky Balboa, is that Rocky in the first movie, if you watch it again, he's your point of view character, he's your main character, but he's not your protagonist in the sense that he's not the character who has doubts or drama. The closest he comes to drama in the first Rocky is like, oh, I might lose. I'm going to take a walk. And then he takes a walk and is like, well, I might lose, but it's okay, because I'm going to go the distance. You know, it's like, there's no real debate in his mind. All the debate, all the doubt, all the transformation comes from Adrian. She's the one who starts off a shy person, and at the end of the movie, like, it doesn't end with Rocky winning and going like, my life has changed. He's just, you know, he lasted the distance as he said he would. He feels perfectly satisfied, but it's Adrian who's so inspired by him as a muse that she's so shy, she's scared of people. She runs to him and, like, she drops the hat, which she never takes off throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
And lets her hair flow, and you expect her to go back to it because she's such a shy person. And she just doesn't care because she's just so empowered by him. That's the last shot of Rocky. It's the weirdest thing where it's like, this is a movie where it's like, wait a minute, we're seeing a Muse movie from the point of view of the Muse. You know?
It's interesting.
Yeah. And all the other Rocky movies, they're all about Rocky. It's about Rocky having doubts. It's about Rocky making mistakes and putting his faith in the wrong person. Like even Rocky 5, which probably has the most depth in all of the sequels,
Yeah.
it's about him not knowing how to deal with his son and not knowing to deal with the fact that, you know, his time is over and he's putting all his stock in this Tommy Gunn character instead of putting it in his son because he's trying to recapture the glory of boxing instead of his glory as, you know, this admirable man. It's about him making mistakes. All the other sequels are like that. And you go back to Rocky Balboa, which is the best sequel, they go back to the idea, like, Rocky Balboa's a pretty wise old guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't make mistakes. He's just sort of this street-level Zen dude who's sort of making what he needs to do, you know?
Yeah.
And he's inspiring his son and this girl and everybody else.
Especially his son. God, his son is such an idiot in that movie.
He's such a whiner.
Yes.
But I think that's what works about the movie. I think Rocky works better as this source of inspiration than as an actual character.
Yeah, I guess so.
That was my big rant about Rocky.
It was a good rant. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I went to see it with you, and it was very good. I was not expecting anything like that. I was expecting like a rehash of maybe Rocky 4.
Right.
Making it like, okay, he's gonna get back in shape and fight the champion and win, you know, and it's like, I was not expecting that at all.
No, what you got is a movie that actually explores his psychology after all that's happened to him, and almost feels like Sylvester Stallone writing about his own career as a filmmaker and actor almost. Because at some point he talks about like agents and whatnot. It's like, well, you know, they tell you to get more money and they tell you this and that. They have your best interest maybe financially and they have their own best interest for money, but they don't have, you know, your best interest for what's in your heart. And it's sort of like, if you replace Rocky the boxer, the warrior, as Sylvester Stallone the artist, you might see how that might apply to his career in the 80s and early 90s, you know?
I know what you're talking about. I love Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Alright, what is your final pick for pleasant surprise, my friend?
Mine would be The Hulk. The Ang Lee version of The Hulk. I'm not even sure why I went to see that movie, because I was ready to hate it. I watched the the TV show.
The Bill Bixby show?
Yeah, the Bill Bixby show, and I loved it. I thought Bill Bixby did a great job as David Banner, not Bruce. David Banner, he did such a great job, and actually Lou Ferrigno was a convincing Hulk. It was different enough than you could see the transformation. And I love that TV show. And I was like, you can't make a movie out of this. They're just going to ruin it completely. And I think I went there just because I guess a few of my friends went, and I was just hoping for a train wreck. I was like, I just wanted to see it be bad and just say, yeah, I told you so. I told you it was going to be bad. But I ended up loving it. It was, wow, it was so artsy. It made like a comic book. It was beautiful. And actually, my friends hated it. So, because they thought it was boring, I guess, and then not superhero-y enough.
Okay.
But I thought it was such a beautifully made movie that, yeah, it really won me over really quick.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you in terms of the quality of the movie. I actually expected a good movie because it's directed by Ang Lee, who had before that had just done like some of the better movies that we've seen. He did The Ice Storm and he did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And I was sort of like, this dude is awesome.
He also did Brokeback Mountain, didn't he?
Later.
Okay.
But yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was expecting something great just based on those few movies that I've seen from him. But yeah, I got exactly what I expected. Though I got a brilliant movie. This movie spanned a lot by comic book fans. Like it still made more money than the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton.
Yeah. Which
leads me to believe that general audiences still like the Ang Lee movie more than, but the comic book fans in general do not like.
Yeah, and they're the more vocal ones because they're the one that use the internet. So they're the one we hear the most about.
They're the one that are tech savvy.
Yeah, exactly.
But, and here's the thing, I always defend this movie on that level. It matches exactly, because Hulk is the first comic book I ever read.
Yeah.
In those little bound things where they used to stick 12 comic books together.
Yeah.
In black and white sometimes. And you could buy it for 5 cents. It's exactly what I read. Like, because when I read it, it was about all the Hulk had taken over permanently. And it was about these characters trying to figure out what makes the Hulk tick, and it turns out that it's Bruce Banner's subconscious, and they couldn't figure out if it was his guilt or his anger towards his father, and it was all exploring like the relationship between that rage you have as an adult and trying to figure out and deal with your parents essentially.
Yeah.
And as a young kid, I sort of really directly related to that, as I think most kids could, because you have this temper and energy and you're like, my parents are the worst parents in the world and I hate them,
Yeah.
You can relate to that really easily. And when I saw the movie, it dealt exactly with that. It was exactly about that. So whenever people say like it's nothing like the comic, it's like, well, it's like the comics I read.
Yeah. And it just watching it just felt right. It felt like the Hulk, really. And I don't understand what people say about the action scene. I think they're pretty nice.
There's a lot of them too.
Yeah. And when he's fighting like the army in the desert, I mean, it's beautiful. And when you see just the Hulk up close, and it's CGI, but it's like it was at the time the better CGI we had seen in a while. You could actually see the emotions in the Hulk, and the way he was moving was very fluid, like very human-like. And I thought special effects are fine, the action is fine. What the hell do you guys don't like?
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I will say that the final action scene is a bit abstract.
Yes, that yeah.
I like it still. I think it fits the themes of the movie. This whole idea of this sort of absorbing man who happens to be his father, going like, "I put all my rage into you, and now you turn into the Hulk, and I'm going to absorb it back." I think is poetic in its own way, but on an action movie level, it's a little bit esoteric.
Yeah. I see what they're trying to do, but like at one point when he's in the clouds and you just see like silhouettes of the Hulk in the clouds, like, what exactly is happening here? I'm not quite sure. When he turns into rock or underwater, it's better, but like in the cloud part, like, what are you doing? The Hulk can fly now? What's happening?
It's because he has anger everywhere. His anger is unleashed at all of his environment in all its shape and forms.
Yeah, sure. There should have been a fire then as well. Like they had water, earth, air. Should have had a fire absorbing thing.
It's not a 70s disco band there, but...
And then Heart. Then you have Captain Planet show up.
Oh, there you go.
But enough bad jokes. What is your last pleasant surprise?
My last pleasant surprise, I saved the most recent for last, and it's a movie that's actually on Tarantino's list of nice tries or bad movies. I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
Pretentious punk. And it's Hannah. This is a movie that came out just in 2011. The summer of 2011. It is the story of a young girl who's been trained all her life by Eric Bana, the Incredible Hulk.
Nice segue.
Yes. To be a super spy killer. And she gets unleashed with a mission of survival. She has to survive by killing off the CIA operative that will kill her to hide her existence, essentially.
Okay.
And it's just a cat and mouse chase between the two, but it's so beautifully done because you'd figure, okay, well, that's a standard action trope, you know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Salt, except she's a teenage girl. But no, the movie actually deals openly with, like, how the world must seem to a girl that's raised that way.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very special. It's just such a powerful movie. It's very artistically filmed. It's sort of almost like I'm making an action movie, but I'm treating it like an independent artsy film. Essentially, is what they're trying to do. And the mix of both is actually interesting because it doesn't have that sort of weighty heaviness, pretentiousness of like the ordinary independent film, and it doesn't have that popcorn. I don't even need to pay attention lightness of certain action movies that make them a little bit unbearable.
Yeah.
It's a perfect mix. I really, really love that movie.
Oh, that's cool. Might give it a try then.
So I guess that's it for us.
Yeah.
Please let us know about your experiences. What were your greatest surprises? We want to know. You can write us at mail@idiomanic.com or post a comment right below the episode at idiomanic.com. Until then,
See you next time.
yeah.